Hi friends, welcome back to class. Today we're going to be going over propagating methods. Just to recap from last class, we talked about what propagating means. So there's the definition there if you need a little refresher. And so it's basically taking cuttings that we talked about from a parent and making it into its own plant via root development. Excited to have you here, and let's get into it.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about what the best way to handle those cuttings are by deciding whether or not it's best to put them or to propagate them in water or soil. So first, let's talk about the process behind it and how to propagate our cuttings in water in the first place. So the first thing you want to do is identify the location where you're going to snip your cutting from the main plant, and you want to make sure you're precise and careful and that you cut just below the node with a clean, sharp knife or scissors or scalpel, anything that's precise. And you want to go ahead and place that cutting in a clean glass full of water and make sure that that water isn't too cold or too warm and it's just room temperature, and that you're changing that out about every 3 to 5 days. And then, like every plant, just takes patience, and you want to wait and watch as your roots grow. So next we're going to be moving on to some reasons why water may be better than soil for your plant cuttings. So my claim is that propagating cuttings in water can be more beneficial than in soil. The support that I have for that is that certain types of plants react better with water than soil due to many different things. The most apparent thing is environment. This is because many plants have evolved in an environment that allows or is better suitable for water than soil. Most arid plants, for example, can be propagated in water, including pothos plants and many more. And that's because these plants originate from an ancestor that lived in swamps and wet areas. So being able to adapt to flooding conditions and still being able to grow was a key to survival. And as a result, the descendants of that ancestor have the ability to flourish in water.
I personally disagree with Tyler. I think propagating in soil is the best. So it's pretty similar to water propagation. Here's some things you'll need: your plant cutting, a rooting hormone like we talked about a couple weeks ago, soil, and a potential humidity chamber just to add some help to your plant. So you're going to cut it, like Tyler mentioned, right by the node, and you're going to dip your cutting into that rooting hormone. That formulation basically tells your plant, hey, it's time to root, let's get it going. And so you would coat the end of your cutting in that rooting hormone, signaling that it is time to grow roots. Make sure you tap off any excess, and when dipping your cutting into the rooting powder, make sure to not put it in the original jar, just in case there's some bacteria or other things that would contaminate or degrade the quality of your rooting hormone. Next, you're going to stick it into your soil. We've talked before about different soil types and how certain soils are better for plants than others. For example, succulents often like perlite or other more dry soils just because it mimics their natural habitat. And so you'll place it in there. And then once your cutting is in the soil, you can use a bell jar to increase humidity, which might help your plant grow a little bit better. And so why I think propagating plants in soil is more beneficial is because when you're using water, you have to really be careful that you don't grow any fungus. Sometimes you can just add water to the top, but often with water, you have to change out the water so you don't get any growdies floating on that, because that can actually root your plant. And also, if there's any leaves that happen to get into the water, they're often going to die. I think the biggest reason why soil is the best is water is devoid of many nutrients a plant needs to grow. So placing your cutting in soil can give it long-term benefits of having enough nutrients that water may not have naturally. And so I do have a couple questions as for concern for water. But first, we want to take a second and give you the chance to think of some questions you might have for water propagations. So go ahead and pause the video now and come up with some questions you may still have about Tyler's claim. Here are some that I had. I'm wondering if water propagation is useful for more than just aroid plants. Not all plants come from swampy areas, so I want to make sure that if I'm using water, if I can use it for all of my propagation needs and cuttings. And also, if you add nutrients to water so it's not deficient, is it as beneficial as in the soil?
Yeah, and in the same vein, I had some questions about whether or not propagating it in soil is better than water. So if you have some questions as well, go ahead and pause the video and take some time to jot those down. Just to share some questions that I had. Is soil propagation the fastest way to propagate plants? I know that water can be more beneficial for certain plants, but even then it does recommend soil later. So I'm wondering if soil right from the beginning would be faster, or if water would be faster. And is rooting hormone actually healthy for the plant or necessary? I actually do agree that rooting hormone is healthy for the plant and results in a more beautiful specimen. So. And also, now that we have learned about propagating in soil and water and all the information that we've learned today, go ahead and pause the video after deciding, or while you're deciding if you're still questioning a claim, like if you're still questioning that propagating in water is the best way to propagate a plant cutting, or if you definitely believe the claim, like I believe that soil is the best way to propagate a cutting.
Awesome. So if you haven't taken the time to do that, go ahead and pause. Otherwise, go ahead and pick a method based on the questions you still have and the support given. You may definitely believe both of the claims. You may question both the claims still. Regardless of whether you're still questioning or totally believe them, go ahead and pick a method that you would use for your plants. Pause now if you need more time.
All right. Now, go ahead and discuss amongst yourselves or share with us which method that you found the best, that you chose, and let us know why. Let us know your thoughts. Amongst your classmates, go ahead and share and discuss.
Awesome. And today we were using the MTV strategy, claim, support, and question. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we hope you learned a little bit more about propagation.